Welcome to my Blender Nocturne guide. This comp has been around for a while, but it's very strong in the current meta, and this is a slow roll comp that wins by slow rolling for Nocturne 3-star. In this video, I will go over the build, what items you make, how to play before level 7, during level 7, and then after level 7, what you do if you get contested. Then we go into some in-depth positioning examples. The build is not very flexible, but there are a couple of different variations you can run at level 7. You always win at least 4 assassins and 2 revenant. The majority of the time you will be running these 6 units, and the last one is another Nocturne 2-star, Volibear if you get lucky and find him early, or a Mystic unit. You will be slow rolling with this board until you hit Nocturne 3-star. Then you will hit level 8 and ideally end up with this board. There aren't really any other strong variations, which makes the build of this comp really easy to play. But we can slightly adapt this board late game, so I will cover that at the post level 7 part of the video. Nocturne is the primary carry for this comp, so we prioritize making items for him first. He has one core item, and that is Last Whisper. This item increases his damage output by a lot, and then you don't get countered as hard by Ironclad or Redeemed. The second item for Nocturne wants to be IE. This is because he will crit 100% of the time for massive amounts of damage. The third item for Nocturne wants to be a damage item or a defensive item. Runon's Hurricane is by far the best one to make sure we're spreading out our damage as effectively as possible. Other OK items that can work are Rageblade, Titans, RFC, Deathblade, BT, GS, QSS, or Hodge. The reason a healing item is not core on Nocturne is because he has a built-in healing with a spell, and we will be overhealing most of the time if we take a healing item. After itemizing Nocturne, we have a couple of different options. We can itemize Fiddlesticks as a secondary carry, or we can itemize Diana or Viego with utility items. You will usually only itemize Fiddle if you get an Assassin Spatula on him, and in that case, Fiddlesticks wants AP items like Ionic Spark, Deathcap, JG, Hodge, Titans, Gunblade, or Morello. Diana and Viego want items like Frozen Heart to slow the enemy carry's attack speed, Blue Buff or Sojin to make them cast quicker, or you can also throw AP items on them as well. Aura items like Zeke's and Trapclaw are also really good for this comp to buff up Nocturne even more and make him run through the enemy team. If you get a Spatula, you want to make an Assassin Spat every time. This allows us to play 6 Assassins, which is a boatload of damage. Fiddlesticks is the best Assassin Spat user by far. Here is the Radiant item tier list. This might seem surprising at first since IE and LW are C tier, but the reasoning is that the best Radiant items for Nocturne are the ones that give extra attack speed as the Radiant bonus. This is because we need Nocturne to attack fast, as he heals every third auto attack. Hurricane is the best by far. Frozen Heart is amazing on Diana, as it makes her cast super fast. RFC is insane on Nocturne, as he gets to stay very safe while attacking, which procs his bonus attack speed by only hitting one target. Rageblade and QSS also come with bonus attack speed. The carousel priority for this comp is Sword, Glove, Bow, then Tier. Since most of our units are 4 costs, we can play any opener, then pivot into Nocturne later. The best early game board will be an early Nocturne paired with a Kha'Zix and 2 frontline units. Some other openers that also work are Callista with a Redeemed or A-Bomb frontline, Sentinel Skirmisher opener, Tristana with 2 Hellions and Cannoneer, or Varus with 2 Rangers. Once we have our opener, we need to make items, and as a general rule, we want to make an item if we have 4 or more components. The best item to slam in the early game is LW, IE, Hurricane, Frozen Heart, Bramble, Zeke's, Morello, and Dragon's Claw. Your early game strategy will depend a lot on how good your opener is. Most of the time you play for a loss streak though, but in some games you can actually play for a win streak, so don't always default to the open fort mode. Since Nocturne is a 3 cost, it's good to pre-level on stage 1-4 to make sure we can see 3 cost units in our shops as soon as possible. If you want to learn more about how to play the early game, check out my guide where I go in depth on the subject. During stage 3 we often try to eco as hard as possible, therefore you almost never roll at level 6 on stage 3 too if you are weak. Instead, you will keep on focusing on economy and then level to 7 on either stage 3-5 or 4-1 depending on how much HP you have. There you will roll for Nocturne 2-star, 2 Revenants, and 4 Assassins. Once you have hit, you are stable, and from there you can slow roll for Nocturne 3-star. It's also very important to scout during the mid game to see if you are contested or not. If we are, our playstyle will change quite a bit, but more on that on the contested part of the video. Most of the time when uncontested though, the goal is to be level 7 with at least 50 gold or more on stage 4-1. Once you reach 50 gold, we start slow rolling, meaning we roll down to 50 gold every single turn. This is to maximize our odds of hitting 3-star units. Our 3-star priority is Nocturne, then Pike. We will rarely be able to 3-star anything else as we're rolling at level 7, but if you get blessed by RNG, you can go for Iron, Diana, or Fiddlesticks 3-star as well. If you are low HP on 4-1, you need to roll down until you hit at least Nocturne 2, 2 Revenants, and 4 Assassins. From there, eco back up again and slow roll. Once you get to stage 5, you need to start thinking about rolling until you hit Nocturne 3-star. However, the more HP you have, the longer you can wait. But keep in mind that most people will roll to 0 and all in on stage 5-1, so almost everyone will see a significant power spike here. Once you hit Nocturne 3-star, you go to level 8 or 9 depending on how much gold or HP you have. The vast majority of the time, you will only make it to level 8 before you have to roll again. At level 8, you want to end up with this board most of the time. Some variations are taking out Ivern for 3 Mystics, or taking out Ivern and Gwen for 2 Ironclad if the lobby is exclusively AD. If you're able to go 9, you will often just add in another Viego, Volibear, or Diana for more CC, or put in Lux or Jax for more Mystics and Ironclads. Like I said at the build part of the video, this comp is pretty easy to put together, and there is little flexibility to this comp. The best emblems for this comp are Assassins, Revenants, and Mystics. If you get contested, you have 2 different options. The first one is to pivot. I prefer this one as this comp is nowhere near as good when you don't hit Nocturne 3-star. The best pivots for this comp are Draven or Jax as those use very similar items, but pivoting to Aphelios or Lucian can also work. If you want to contest, you need to keep a close eye on your opponent. This is because 3 costs are almost impossible to 3-star when contested. There are only 18 copies of each 3 cost, so if you see that your opponent is closing on Nocturne 3-star, sometimes you might just have to roll it down just to make sure you have a higher chance of hitting than your opponent. Because if one of you hits, it is close to impossible for the other person to hit the 3-star as well. Positioning makes or breaks fights with this comp, so it is very important to scout your opponents. Make sure to keep count of how many people are on the right versus the left side, so you know which side you should switch on. After each fight, make sure to put your assassins in the middle so that your enemies don't know which side you're jumping to. General positioning looks like this. We have our non-assassin units backlined, so we draw out the enemy backline. This is to counter clumping so we can access the enemy carries easier. Pyke wants to be far left or far right side. Viego wants to jump on exposed enemy carries. Diana wants to jump into clumps of enemies. And Nocturne wants to jump on main carries. Now let's move on to some in-depth positioning examples. Against the first guy, the big threat is Jax. Since Jax is a melee unit, we don't need to draw out the front line. Fiddlesticks is positioned to ult on top of the Jax. Volibear is positioned to break as many shields as possible while also hitting Jax. Gwen is positioned to give them both Enaminate. Viego is positioned to steal Jax or Thresh. Nocturne is positioned to kill Nautilus, then Jax. Against the second guy, the big threat is Kayle. We are drawing out the backline to get access to Kayle. Viego is jumping Kayle to stun her and also to make her not stack Rageblade. Nocturne is positioned to also get access to Kayle. Diana is jumping to hopefully pull Kayle or pull the knights away from Kayle. Against the third guy, the big threat is Draven. We are once again pulling out the frontline to isolate the Thresh and Draven. Viego is jumping to hopefully steal the Draven, and Nocturne is also jumping on top of the Draven. Thank you so much for watching. If you learned something, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Comment down below what video you want me to make next, and if you want to get better at TFT, join the Discord. We got over 3,000 other players there who are hungry to climb. And if you want to get coached by me, the information is over on the Discord server as well. So take care and see you in the next video.